I remember sitting at my kitchen table last December transferring $1,200 from my checking account to my parents like I had every month for the past 2 years. My fingers hesitated over the send button as I calculated what this meant for my own budget again. Ramen noodles for dinner. No new winter coat, another month of saying no to plans with friends. But seeing that confirmation message always filled me with this warm feeling, knowing I was taking care of the people who raised me. They needed me, and I was there for them. Christmas was just around the corner, and I could not wait to see their faces light up when they realized how much their daughter cared. Before I tell you what happened that night that changed everything, let me know in the comments where you are watching from, and please hit that like button if you have ever sacrificed for family. Trust me, you will want to stick around for this one because what I discovered at that Christmas party will shock you just as much as it shocked me. My name is Stella, and at 27 I thought I had figured out what it meant to be a good daughter. For 2 years I had been sending my parents $1,200 every month to help with their living expenses. My dad Robert was 58 and had been out of work since injuring his back in a construction accident 3 years earlier. My mom Linda was 55 and worked part-time as a receptionist at a dental office, but her income barely covered their basics. I lived in a tiny studio apartment in Denver that cost me $950 a month. On my marketing coordinator salary of $48,000 a year after taxes and helping my parents, I had about $800 left for everything else. Gas, groceries, phone bill, student loan payments. It was tight, really tight, but I made it work because family comes first. My daily routine had become a careful dance of frugality. Packed lunches every single day, usually peanut butter sandwiches or leftover pasta from the night before. I shopped exclusively at thrift stores, had not bought new clothes in over a year, and my winter coat was the same one I had worn since college. I canceled my gym membership, my streaming services, everything that was not absolutely essential. When friends invited me out for drinks or dinner, I always had an excuse. The truth was, I simply could not afford it. As an only child, I had always felt the weight of responsibility. Growing up, my parents constantly reminded me how much they sacrificed for me. Dance lessons, help with college tuition, car insurance until I was 24. They would say things like, "We are so proud of you, honey," and "You are going to take care of us when we are old, right?" It felt natural that I should be the one to help them now that they were struggling. But a few weeks before Christmas, something started nagging at me. During one of our weekly phone calls, my mom mentioned they had bought a new dining table and were planning a vacation for next summer. When I asked where the money came from, she laughed and said, "Oh, we have been saving a little here and there." This confused me because I knew I was covering almost all their major expenses. I pushed the thought away, figuring maybe my dad's disability payments had increased, or my mom had gotten more hours at work. Then my mom called to invite me to their Christmas party. They were having extended family over, people I had not seen in months. Uncle Tom and Aunt Sarah, my cousins Jake and Emma. I was excited because I thought this would be a chance for everyone to see how much I was sacrificing to help my parents. Maybe they would appreciate what a good daughter I was being. I spent my last $150 on Christmas gifts for everyone, carefully choosing items I thought they would love. As I wrapped each present in my apartment that night, I felt proud of myself. Here I was, living on basically nothing but still making sure my family had a wonderful Christmas. The night before the party, I called to confirm what time to arrive. My dad answered, and I could hear the television in the background. It sounded expensive, much clearer than the old model they had complained about for years. When I mentioned it, he said they had gotten a good deal on a used one. Another small thing that did not quite add up, but I dismissed it. I arrived at my parents' house on December 23rd at 6 in the evening, and immediately something felt off. The entire front of their house was covered in elaborate LED light displays, the kind that cost hundreds of dollars. Through the front window, I could see a massive Christmas tree with what looked like professional decorations and furniture I did not recognize. Walking up to the front door, I kept thinking, where did all this money come from? My parents had been telling me for 2 years how tight things were, how they could barely make ends meet without my help. Yet everything I was seeing suggested they were doing quite well financially. Uncle Tom and Aunt Sarah were already there with my cousins Jake and Emma. Jake had brought his pregnant wife Katie, and there were also neighbors I recognized, the Hendersons and the Johnson family. The house felt warm and festive, but underneath my smile, questions were multiplying. As I hugged everyone hello, I overheard Aunt Sarah complimenting my mom on the beautiful new kitchen backsplash. It was stunning white subway tiles with gray grout that must have cost thousands to install. When had they done this renovation? My mom just smiled and thanked her, not mentioning how they had afforded it. Later, Uncle Tom was asking my dad about the fishing boat he had seen in the garage. A fishing boat. My dad loves fishing, but he had never mentioned buying a boat. When I walked over to join the conversation, my dad quickly changed the subject, saying it was just an old thing he got cheap from a friend. During dinner, I was amazed by the spread. Prime rib, which I knew cost at least $80 at the grocery store, imported wine, elaborate side dishes, and desserts from an expensive bakery downtown. I calculated in my head that this one meal probably cost more than I spent on groceries in an entire month. When I mentioned to my mom that my gift budget had been especially tight this year, she just laughed and said, "Oh, honey, money is not everything." The comment stung because money had been everything for me lately. Every decision I made revolved around whether I could afford it, and most of the time the answer was no. Around 8:30, I excused myself to use the bathroom upstairs. Walking past my parents' bedroom, I noticed shopping bags scattered around, bags from stores I recognized as expensive. Pottery Barn Williams, Sonoma Nordstrom. Curiosity got the better of me, and I peeked inside one of the bags. $300 throw pillows with the price tags still attached. Another bag contained candles that cost $150 each. My stomach started to feel sick. These were not the purchases of people struggling financially. These were the purchases of people with plenty of disposable income. I stood in that bedroom doorway trying to make sense of what I was seeing when I heard voices drifting up from downstairs. My dad's voice was louder than the others, and he sounded like he was telling some kind of story that was making people laugh. I walked to the top of the stairs to listen, and what I heard made my blood freeze. Crouching at the top of the stairs, I could hear my dad's voice clearly now, and he was laughing as he spoke. "I am telling you, Tom, it is like having a personal ATM. $1,200 every single month, no questions asked." Uncle Tom responded, "And she actually thinks you need it." My mom's voice joined in. "Oh, you should see the texts she sends. Hope this helps with groceries, Mom. Did the utility payment go through okay?" It is actually quite sweet how naive she is. I gripped the stair railing, my hands starting to shake. They were talking about me. They were talking about the money I sent every month, money I could barely afford, money that was keeping me from having any kind of life. Aunt Sarah's voice sounded uncomfortable. "But do you not feel guilty? The poor girl is living like a college student." My dad's response cut through me like a knife. Guilty. She is 27 years old, making decent money. When I was her age, I was supporting a family. Besides, we raised her, fed her, put a roof over her head for 18 years. This is just delayed payment. My mom added, "Plus she is single with no kids. What else is she going to spend it on? At least this way the money stays in the family and gets put to good use." "Good use?" Uncle Tom asked. "Like that boat you bought last month?" "Exactly," my dad said, "and the new patio furniture. Linda has been wanting to redo the kitchen too. Stella's contributions are really helping us live the retirement we deserve." My cousin Jake's voice sounded confused. "But Uncle Robert, does she not think Dad is still disabled from the back injury?" The answer to this question was going to destroy me. I could feel it. "Well, technically the doctor cleared me for light work 6 months ago, but why rock the boat? I do some cash jobs here and there that she does not need to know about. Made $4,000 just last month helping renovate the Morrison's basement." The room started spinning around me. 6 months ago. My dad had been cleared to work 6 months ago, and I had been sending money every month since then, thinking he was still unable to work because of his injury. My mom continued, "The beauty is she feels so good about herself. She thinks she is being the perfect daughter. We get the money, she gets her sense of purpose. Everyone wins." My cousin Emma's voice sounded disturbed. "That seems really manipulative, Aunt Linda." "Oh, sweetie, you do not understand family dynamics yet. Stella has always been intense about being needed. Remember how she used to organize everyone's schedules when she was just 15? This arrangement actually makes her happy. We are doing her a favor by letting her feel useful," Aunt Sarah asked. "But what if she finds out?" "How would she find out?" My dad answered. "She never visits except for holidays, and we are careful about what we say on the phone. Besides, even if she did, what is she going to do? Stop sending money? She would feel too guilty abandoning her struggling parents." Uncle Tom laughed. "You two are something else. But hey, if it works." "It works perfectly," my mom said. "And honestly, after all the money we spent raising her, the dance classes, the college tuition, we helped with the car insurance until she was 24, this is just payback. We deserve to enjoy ourselves now." I sat there on the stairs, my whole world crumbling around me. Every sacrifice I had made, every night I had eaten ramen noodles for dinner, every invitation I had declined because I could not afford to go out, every single thing I had given up to help them, and they saw me as a fool. They were not just taking my money, they were laughing about it, mocking my love and concern for them. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold on to my phone, but I managed to turn on the camera. I needed evidence of what I was seeing. I crept back to their bedroom and took photos of the shopping bags, the price tags, the receipts scattered on their dresser. Then I walked quietly downstairs and out the back door to look at this boat my dad had mentioned. There it was, sitting in their garage with a brand new Bass Pro Shops tag still hanging from the windshield. This was not some old used boat from a friend. This was easily a $25,000 purchase. I walked around to the front of the house and looked at my mom's car in the driveway. It was a 2023 Honda CR-V that looked like it had just come off the lot. My dad had told me it was used when they bought it 6 months ago. Everything was a lie. Every single thing they had told me about their financial situation was a complete fabrication. They were not struggling. They were not barely making ends meet. They were living better than I was using my money to fund a lifestyle I could not even afford for myself. I went back inside, forced a smile onto my face, and finished the party. For the next hour, I accepted compliments about what a wonderful daughter I was, how lucky my parents were to have me, how proud they must be. Every word felt like another knife twist. When it was time to leave, my mom hugged me goodbye and said, "Drive safe, honey. And do not forget, rent is due next week, so if you could send the money by Tuesday." I looked her directly in the eyes and said, "Of course, Mom. I will send it tomorrow morning like always." But as I drove home that night, I knew that tomorrow morning everything was going to change. I spent Christmas Eve morning putting together a detailed analysis of everything I had discovered. I calculated that over the past 24 months, I had sent my parents $28,800. I researched my dad's disability status online and found public records showing he had been medically cleared for work in June. I called his former construction company and spoke to his old supervisor, who told me my dad had been doing freelance projects for several months. The supervisor was surprised I did not know, since my dad had mentioned that his daughter was so proud of how well he was recovering. I printed out bank statements showing every transfer I had made, screenshots of their social media posts showing their new purchases, and photos from their house. I created a timeline that proved they had been lying to me for months. On Christmas morning, I drove to their house with a folder full of evidence. They were expecting me for their traditional Christmas breakfast, and they greeted me at the door with big smiles and hugs. We sat down in their beautifully decorated living room to exchange gifts just like we had done every year of my life. But instead of handing them the presents I had bought, I opened my folder. "Before we exchange gifts, I need to talk to you about something." I said, my voice calmer than I felt. Last night I overheard your conversation about my monthly payments. The color drained from both their faces, but my dad tried to bluff his way through it. What conversation? I do not know what you mean. I handed them the printed bank statements. I mean the conversation where you called me your personal ATM, where you laughed about how naive I am, where you discussed using my money to buy boats and furniture while I eat ramen noodles for dinner. I spread out the photos of their shopping bags, the receipts, the boat. I also mean the conversation where Dad mentioned he has been cleared for work for 6 months, but decided not to tell me because why rock the boat? My mom tried to turn this around on me. How dare you spy on us? We raised you better than this young lady. You raised me to be honest, I said. You raised me to work hard and take care of family. You raised me to sacrifice for the people I love. I have been doing exactly what you taught me while you have been lying to me and stealing from me. I pulled out a piece of paper with my budget written on it. This is how I have been living for the past 2 years. After taxes and the money I send you, I have $800 a month for everything else. Gas, groceries, student loans, phone, everything. I have not bought new clothes in over a year. I have not gone out to dinner with friends in months. I canceled my gym membership, my Netflix, everything that was not absolutely essential. My dad tried to interrupt, but I continued. I thought I was helping my struggling parents. Instead, I was funding your deception and your mockery of my love for you. I stood up and looked at both of them. Effective immediately, I will not be sending any more money. I also expect you to pay back $10,000 within 6 months, or I will pursue legal action for fraud. You cannot be serious, my mom said. We are your parents. Real parents do not mock their child's sacrifice, I replied. Real parents do not lie and steal from their children. Until you can demonstrate genuine accountability for what you have done, I will not be in contact with you. My dad tried one more manipulation. If you do this, you are no longer welcome in this family. I picked up my folder and headed for the door. The family I thought I had never existed anyway. I blocked their phone numbers, blocked them on social media, and drove home to start my new life. Over the next few weeks, they tried everything to get me back under their control. They sent guilt trips through relatives about abandoning family. They threatened to write me out of their will. Uncle Tom called to try to mediate, but when I explained the full situation to him, he apologized and said he felt terrible for not speaking up during that conversation. My cousin Emma reached out to tell me how much she admired my courage, and that what my parents had done was wrong. The family split into 2 camps, those who thought I should just forgive and forget, and those who understood that I had been taken advantage of. But the most amazing thing started happening in my own life. With that $1,200 a month back in my budget, I could finally breathe again. I started going to therapy to deal with the emotional damage of being betrayed by the people who were supposed to love me most. I joined a hiking group and made friends who valued authenticity over manipulation. I started dating again and met someone who appreciated my giving nature, but encouraged me to set healthy boundaries. For the first time in years, I was building an emergency fund and contributing to my retirement account. I was living like an adult instead of a struggling college student. 6 months later, I received a package in the mail with a check for $3,000 and a note that said, "We are sorry, we miss you." I sent back a letter that said, "This is a start. Real accountability means acknowledging the emotional damage you caused, not just paying back some of the money you stole." It has been a year now, and we are slowly rebuilding our relationship, but it looks completely different. My dad got a legitimate job and is working again. My mom has taken responsibility for managing their actual budget instead of relying on money from me. They are in counseling to understand why they thought it was acceptable to manipulate and lie to their own daughter. The most important thing I learned through all of this is that love without boundaries is not love. It is enabling manipulation. Your generosity is a gift, and you should never let anyone make you feel guilty for reclaiming it when it is being abused. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to participate in someone else's dysfunction. Real family does not mock your sacrifice, they honor it. I spent last Christmas with my hiking friends and the person I am dating, and it was smaller but genuine. I learned that being a good daughter does not mean being an endless ATM. It means loving with wisdom, giving with boundaries, and protecting your own well-being, so you can truly help others from a place of strength, not depletion. Have you ever been taken advantage of by someone you love? How did you handle it? Let me know in the comments below, and please hit that like button if this story resonated with you. Make sure to subscribe for more real-life stories about setting boundaries and finding your strength. Share this video with anyone who might need to hear that their worth is not measured by how much they sacrifice for others. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, you deserve relationships built on honesty, not manipulation. Take care of yourselves out there.